So welcome everyone. I'm Ivy Rivera. I'm a psychic medium, a Taino Arawak, and I run a school called the Ivy League Psychic Academy, where I train people internationally in everything from psychic mediumship development to tarot to astrology to numerology, Reiki, you name it, we do it. We also train children, people who are interested in working with paranormal energy, or those interested in getting into things like criminal investigations, missing persons, literally everything. All right, so check it out. What we're doing here tonight, what you've caught, is one of the free mini classes. I've been putting out free mini classes called the Quarantine Series since the pandemic hit. And tonight we're talking about staying in your lane. Now, who out there is an overgiver? Who doesn't seem to understand when to pull their energy back and let other people fall on their faces, or to pull their energy out of their workplace when they should not be giving anymore? Do you have trouble doing that? Do you feel, even if you've made a game plan to behave differently, that when the time comes, you're always succumbing to whatever the other person or the situation needs or demands of you? Do you feel that it's your responsibility to not only fix everything around you, but also to give healing to other people, even when you shouldn't be? Are you an enabler? Do you feel bad for people when they've caused the predicament themselves? Do you always feel that you need to step in and diffuse some kind of tension in a situation between others? Or when you see things getting heated, do you want to recoil? It really upsets you, and you feel you must be, you must put an end to it somehow. These are signs that you don't understand what your role is, that you are crossing boundaries, and that you are doing damage to yourself. We're going to break down a few of the reasons that you may be doing this into categories, and then I'm going to talk to you about how it's affecting you mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and what the universe does when you're caught doing this. It's not good. All right, so let's talk about the guilt. Whether this be with your work and career, if you're doing this with your community, if you're an activist, you're a giver, you do this with your church, you feel responsible. If you're doing this in your relationships, and I would say I see this with my clients, this is the number one issue in relationship with others. Definitely with your children, definitely with your family, definitely with your parents, definitely with your love partner. Okay. Is it possible that the guilt is pushing you to do it? So here's what it is. When we have presented ourselves as being that overgiver, you have to understand that you set a tone, and people's expectancy is going to be much higher for you. They expect you to deliver. So the second you get involved in a relationship, you need to make it very clear that you're not that person, that there does need to be reciprocity, that I will not be overgiving and stretching myself too thin. There has to be a balance here. I have certain requirements to be dealing with you or to be here in this situation. Now, if you didn't set that tone, they are going to guilt you and you are going to guilt yourself. Guilt is a heavy, invasive energy. It's haunting in its own way. I think of there being spirits of negativity out there in the world. The spirit of fear and the spirit of guilt is major. So I just want to say, as a side note, everyone needs to keep that in check. Someone guilting you? Are you guilting yourself? That's unacceptable. That one is really going to surface at night. If you're having a lot of nightmares and you're realizing that you're trying to do something, you're fouling, you're tripping, you're falling, you're exhausted, pay attention to your dreams, okay? If this show relates to you, start keeping a dream journal while you sort through these things. I have a class up on my website called Dreams. Polly, if you could put that in the comments. Dreams class talks a lot about how your unresolved issues, your skeletons in the closet, stuff swept under the carpet, things you can't resolve during your waking hours will surface at night. Many people who can't remember their dreams can't remember them because they created a block because they aren't able to fix these issues even at night in their sleep. But we have to dream. We have to process. Psychology says that's the best time to come to terms with what we're dealing with, often. But keeping a dream journal can help you to look back at it in the waking hours, look at the symbology, break it down, and process what you're really trying to deal with for the sake of healing and growth. Now, I do want to invite you guys also to go into the comments, post your questions, your comments. Paul, how are you, Paulie?
I'm very lovely, thanks. How are you?
I'm good. Paul will be taking your questions and comments throughout the class if it fits with the curriculum at the time, and if it doesn't, we'll get to it at the end. All right, so category number 1, why may you be an overgiver? Number 1, you have wounded healer syndrome. Now, a lot of you may have heard of this. This is something that's been talked about more in recent years in the spiritual community, and people like to break it down into this. You're empathic, you're a healer, you're super intuitive, and you feel that it's your job to offer other people healing. And when you're told you shouldn't accept any money for that, you shouldn't ask for reciprocity, you're shamed for that, you eat that up, you accept that, you internalize that, and you just keep giving anyways. And you get taken advantage of. All right, so that's the basic perception on this, that you're a healer and you feel responsible to overgive. You feel guilty when you don't, and it literally keeps you up at night. I want to take this from another more psychological angle. I am predicting that the majority of you who can identify with that actually went through some kind of abuse yourself. Neglect, abuse from either your parents, your childhood, a toxic relationship. Maybe you're on the margins. Maybe you're a minority. Maybe society has abused you. Maybe you're a woman. You've been abused since, you were born. I'm here in America. This is a big issue. When a lot of people develop this wounded healer syndrome and they decide to gravitate toward the spiritual aspects of it, they say that they're a healer. They get into Reiki, they get into energy work, they get into giving readings or helping people through whatever means. They often have some kind of issue within themselves that they do not want to face. And rejecting someone who needs healing, even if that person doesn't want it from you, even if that person didn't ask you for it, what a wounded healer will do is chase down anyone they can give and force healing onto, often. Literally everyone's running from you and you just keep chasing the opportunity to teach or to heal, right? This is a sign that you're avoiding yourself. You're avoiding the abuse that occurred. You're avoiding something that needs its own healing within you. This could also be called shadow work. You have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. You have to go through the pain in order to get to a place where you have healing to offer others. Nobody wants toxic energy put into them. So if you can't understand why people aren't accepting the healing that you offer, if you find that you're chasing it down instead of it chasing you, or if you feel that every time it is around you, you're responsible to give it, even when you know you shouldn't, you may have wounded healer syndrome. How is that seen by other people? Well, you're narc bait. Okay, I just did a free mini class here on YouTube. If you go to the playlist, you can see all the ones I put up for the quarantine series. And we just did one called The Narcissist and the Intuitive. It's a great class. It's got a ton of people praising that it helped them to understand a lot why narcissists and sociopaths are attracted to them. So you become narc bait when you are one of these wounded healers. You're seen by others, including your bosses at work, coworkers, and like family, everybody, not just lovers, but you're seen as someone to abuse or take advantage of. And if you're a parent and you're one of these, and you're helicoptering over your kids all the time, and you're always worried about them, it's going to become a toxic, abusive relationship there as well. There are many different kinds of abuse, and overgiving is without a doubt one of them. And being taken advantage of and allowing it, even by your child, is setting a wrong tone for them. They will not be prepared to go out into the world, and you don't deserve to be abused by anyone. So you've got to get this in check. Okay, number 2, you may be a victim or a martyr. So those that are victims like to play that role. They enjoy being defeated. They enjoy being beaten down. They enjoy when all the love and support that they gave isn't reimbursed in some way. They enjoy that imbalance because they can use it for their victimhood personality. This is who I am. I am amazing. I am a martyr. I am always overgiving, and I am always getting the shit end of the deal. I have bad luck, and the universe is always beating me up. No, you're literally giving from a dark place, an inauthentic place, and that doesn't receive reciprocity from the universe or the humans around you. That's the deal. It has to come authentically, and it has to come within balance. So some people enjoy being abused. It's their MO. They may not have any kind of a personality. And I'm not trying to badmouth anyone watching this show and you're like, I have a personality, but I do this. It's just that your personality at this point may be so stifled from years of doing this that you don't really authentically know who you are. You may not know where your interests lie. You may not know what you want to do with your life. Because you've been doing this for so long, it's like squelching the life out of you. The personality, what you came to earth to do in your life contract, your character can't develop. You have to allow, use the example of a child, you have to allow a child to express themselves. You have to allow for that child to receive love and to get back what they need, to understand more about the world, others, who they are, what they want to do. You're not allowing that. Every time you do that to your inner child, you're abusing yourself. So you have decided, I am a victim. I am a martyr. I'm going to continue to give, even when it's inappropriate. And what does that really say? Well, it says you're afraid to be alone, obviously, because you don't want to sit with that part of yourself that's underdeveloped or that you don't like. It says that you don't love yourself. It says that you don't respect yourself. And it says that you have low self-esteem. So a lot of the same narcissistic, sociopathic people who are attracted to the wounded healers may also be attracted to you. You are prone to sociopathic, narcissistic relationships. And by the time you reach victim martyrdom level, you may even show tendencies of being one yourself. You need to be careful about that level of manipulation. It is not a truthful, authentic place to give or take from. What a lot of people will see when they look at you, though, if you're a victim martyr mentality, is that you're needy. And even if you're trying to overgive and chase them down to give it, they see you as toxic. They may not know why. They may not say it. They just energetically read it as something they don't want. Basically, energetically, for both categories, wounded healer and victim martyr, we know as human beings that are made up of energy that we are not to enable, we are not to cross boundaries, and we are not to accept anything from you. We just intuitively know that it's not healthy. And I'll break down why later when I talk about how the universe sees it and has it labeled. We have any questions on that one?
Like when you just said someone's giving to you and they're like heavily toxic and you kind of shy away.
Right.
That's like, I know from my own life that I won't like to ask for help or take things from people because of someone who was toxic and always gave and would hold it over me. So I do think that that's connected, that I would, and now in the reverse, I shy away from any type of asking for help because of this. Like the overgiving kind of changed the way I look at life.
Very good. All right. So I love that. I also just want to say, and I'm going to play off of Polly's observation here. I want to say thank you to everyone who's giving donations. I forgot to mention in the beginning of the show that we are monetized here on YouTube. So feel free, if you want to become a member, to click that join button. And we do appreciate on TikTok and YouTube the donations coming in. And I'll read off that list later. Okay, let's not forget that.
Okay.
All right, so let's talk about what Paul just said, based on the victim martyrdom mentality, that he said that he has learned not to ask anybody for anything because someone who was a major influence in his life, in his family, raised him to have this fear that anything this person gave to him was going to be held over his head, like he owed something back. And it was almost like if you accept anything from this person, you get punished. Well, this is something that a lot of people do. You may think of yourself as being an overgiver, but are you manipulative to the degree that you actually watch and clock every single thing that you give, and you expect and wait to get that back in return, and you attack when you don't? You're not coming from a place of unconditional love. You're not giving authentically. You're watching and using it as a form of manipulation to control, because you're coming from a place of fear, okay? So some of you may be tied up in a toxic relationship like that, and some of you may be doing it, not even realizing it. So it's about that expectancy back that's unhealthy. Reciprocity, good. Commanding and manipulation, bad. I use the example on this one too for the wounded healer syndrome, or the victim martyr mentality of going and getting Reiki from people. Sometimes you can go and receive a healing from someone or a reading from someone, and it feels authentic, it feels great, it makes you feel better. And other times you feel absolutely nothing, or like it was really, really toxic. And it makes you wonder if they spewed that energy out onto you because they were draining you. Are they vampires? So many supposed light workers out there have not reached a place of consistency and character development within themselves. They're not mindful enough to own their energy. They are literally just taking yours. This is why no one touches me. This is why I don't go to anybody for help other than some of my students that I trust very much. You have to be very careful where you're going. It is possible that these supposed healers are actually taking from you, okay? These amazing volunteers that are always there. They always go the extra mile. It's above and beyond the call of duty. They're probably stripping you of your energy if it's inauthentic like this, okay? All right. All that glitters is not gold, in a nutshell. We ready to move on?
Yes.
Let's move on. Number 3, why might you be overgiving? Because you are fearing the truth. Now, the truth, typically in like a work environment, right, where they're taking advantage of you, or you're overgiving, you're allowing for yourself to cross that boundary line and overgive. When this is happening and you don't seem to be able to control it or stop it, you don't want to face the truth. This job is garbage. You don't belong there. You were supposed to go develop your career in another area. You're afraid, right? You're afraid of losing your paycheck. There is a dysfunctional, abusive system going on that you are most definitely participating in. And you're trying to blow it off, and you're trying to say, well, it pays the bills, keeps the roof over my head, it puts food in my kids' mouths, and you're not facing the real issue. Okay. We may also be doing this in a relationship. The number one most common thing I see, okay, not just with the ladies, but especially with the ladies, because here in America especially, right, us girls have been trained to tolerate abuse, to tolerate neglect, to overreach, to overgive in our love partnerships and our communities, and to always expect less back, and to not complain about that, even to the point that it makes us sick. We take on too much. So what I see with my clients, especially in their love partnerships, is that they don't want to face that the relationship is dead. They don't want to face that they're with a dud. They don't want to face that this thing cannot evolve, that they cannot sustain the amount of effort they are putting into this relationship forever. They know this. They know that if they stop overreaching, parenting instead of partnering, that this relationship will fail. And that's going to be it. They're going to have to pack up and go find somebody else, or go live alone and be single and get strong again. They don't want to lose the time that they have invested, or they don't want to face that reality. And a lot of times, again, it is because of the guilt and it's because of the brainwashing we've had, primarily but not exclusively, as women to over caretake in order to keep things manageable, healthy, thriving, but they're not thriving. Okay, they couldn't do it on their own. So what do we want to do? We want to partner with the lover, not parent. Now, you really need to apply this also to your family dynamics, whether it be your parents, your siblings, whatever. With your children, there needs to be a healthy balance of everyone carrying their own load. You should not be carrying everything for your children. They're 8 years old. They come to you, pour a bowl of cereal. Go pour that bowl of cereal yourself. You forgot your shoes. You're calling me. You want me to drive all the way down to the school? Sorry, Charlie. Like, you have an agenda you're supposed to stick to every morning. You have got to let go. Look at every area of your life where you do this, because I guarantee if you're listening to this now and you can find one area that pops out and you're like, oh my God, I totally do. There are 50 more areas where you do this. Ladies especially, we need to take that power back. You need to take that energy back. You've been brainwashed into thinking that that's good or you should, and it isn't. And we're just raising up another generation of dysfunctional people who can't do it on their own. You can't do this forever. You cannot. Let those relationships go. Let people fall where they need to. They'll get back up. That's good for them to learn. You learned. You know how to do it. They deserve the same opportunity. That's real love. All right, let's talk about what this looks like. Well, how do other people see you? They see you as Mr. Fix-It. They see you as Miss Fix-It. So they will deliberately fail if it would be easier. Okay, I think of the husband who, messes everything up because he thinks, okay, well, if I just mess it up, she'll just come in and do it for me. Okay, oh, I can't be with the kids. I let them run out into the street. I can't change a diaper properly. I will cause all this damage. That's unacceptable. You need to kick that to the curb or set up a new set of rules. You need to figure something out. That cannot be sustained. But you have set that tone. You came into that relationship saying, I am Miss Fix-It. Or you came into your job and said, I am willing to work overtime and not receive the promotion or the pay that I deserve. People see you as someone who will always be there if they take advantage. And to some degree, they may even start to believe that they're doing you a favor, like you like it. Like you wouldn't know what to do with your time if you didn't. And a lot of people start joking about this. You're right, I'm type A. I'm OCD. I wouldn't even know what to do with my time if I wasn't controlling anything. That's really not funny, and it's really not true. It's dysfunctional. And now you've got everyone else playing on stage a role, a character in this dysfunction. And you need to close the curtains on this one and move on with your life. Number 4, you have a fear of leveling up. We did another free mini class called Your Fear of Leveling Up. And this goes hand in hand with another free mini class I did called Fighting the Dark, which I'm going to redo here soon because it's a bit old. But look those up if this one makes sense to you. You may be self-sabotaging yourself. Maybe you are afraid of becoming the power player that you really are. Maybe you're a minority and you don't feel that you can handle, or you're not ready. You don't have the strength just yet to handle the kind of kickback that you're going to get from others on that. Maybe you don't want to step up and say, I'm ready to be me. I am a power player, because your spouse is going to start to cause all kinds of problems for you because you have a growth mentality and this person does not. And they can feel that imbalance coming. That's a threat to them. There are a million reasons. Watch the video. I'm not going to get into it today. There are a million reasons why you may have fear of leveling up. It mostly has to do with you taking a lot of beatdowns over the course of your life every time you did level up. And New Level, New Devil, which is that other class, Fighting the Dark. Every time you level up, you get attacked in 5 different ways. So it's a system that we can't really avoid. When everyone talks about manifestation and law of attraction and how amazing these things are, nobody wants to talk about kickback. Nobody wants to talk about New Level, New Devil. Nobody wants to talk about, in order for one door to open, another door has to shut. Every time the bus stops, somebody's got to get off. Nobody wants to go there. Nobody wants to go there. And until we're willing to look at that level of discomfort, the losses that you take for every gain you make, we're never going to be comfortable with the growth process in an authentic way. We're never going to maximize. All right, so you have a fear of leveling up. That's why you're overgiving. That's why you just don't have healthy boundaries. You're basically treading water in your life, okay? You don't want to face what you really could be and who you are. All right, do we have any questions or comments on this before we move into the second part?
Yeah, we have two that are related to this part. We have one from Megan Marie 324 on TikTok. Her mom's a guilter, and she says, "How on earth do I push my mother away to make it stop? I feel terrible, and that's not right either."
Well, a lot of it depends on your age. You know, if you're stuck in the house with her, that's tougher. You have to maintain boundaries, especially mentally and energetically, all the time. I would recommend that you watch the empathic awareness training that I have up on my website. Paul, could you put that in the comments? Yep. So you go to Ivy Rivera, empathiceducator.com. It's an empathic awareness training, but it's not really just for empathic people, which you are anyways. This is for everybody. These are just blocking tools. And these are tools to cleanse and maintain your energy so that you're always able to say what is mine and what is others. And when someone else's energy is trying to come into yours, you say, "I don't think so, not today, Satan." Okay, not going to happen. But beyond that, let's say you're not, living in the house with her. It's just a heavy communication that comes all the time. You can feel when she's going to reach out. You can feel when you have to deal with her that you're already drained. You're already depressed. You're already exhausted. The guilt and those feelings of stress are something that you've been trained to take over on your own. She doesn't even have to do anything wrong anymore. Just you knowing that you're going to have an interaction with her or that she exists is enough that you now torture your own self. You've taken over the job of doing that. And you need to realize that. You need to realize that you do control it, that you can put an end to it. And while we can't control the way we feel all the time, we can certainly control how we react to it. We can certainly control what we allow our minds to meditate on. And when you stop those thoughts dead in their tracks and you replace it with something better or healthier for you, you are not only protecting your own self, you're helping mom to grow. Mom needs some help. She is probably, as I'm getting this closed throat chakra with her, a closed throat chakra means that someone doesn't speak their truth with others. Okay. They may also be passive aggressive. Or they did and it was disrespected. It wasn't received. Mom needs to see from you. Sometimes the child is the parent. We see this in numerology, Vedic and Western astrology. I see it in the life contracts I do. You may be more of the parent than she even is. She needs to learn this from someone, and you may be the one to teach it. So do not enable her to stay in that childlike form, and certainly don't let it steal your light away.
Well said.
Did we have another one, or should I move on in curriculum?
This one's related to what you were saying about Reiki.
Okay.
So Kimberly says that she went to a Reiki healing, and in the beginning it was fine. And then she went again, and things started to get worse. I was the same practitioner. Does that mean she should not have gone for a Reiki healing?
Well, things can get worse. Here's what I train my Reiki students and my psychic surgery students in. Sometimes when a Reiki practitioner works with you, they don't understand that they're a detoxer. So they may have loosened issues from your past life, things that haven't happened yet that would have normally stressed you out or done damage, current issues that you're dealing with mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. And when you detox, it will typically cause swollen glands, flu-like symptoms. You can even be laid out. Like you feel like you have, what do you call it when you get in a car accident? Whiplash. And you could be laid out with flu-like symptoms for days or weeks from a Reiki practitioner or somebody who does energy work who doesn't know that they're a detoxer. So a lot of people don't know how to perform Reiki. It is become an explosive practice. And I don't agree with the way people are training others. And I don't agree with, I just don't go to anybody. I mean, I don't know what else to say. You just need to be careful about who you let touch on you. that way. Is it possible that that's what happened? It's possible, which is actually a good thing. That means that while this person maybe doesn't know that they are a detoxer, they may have helped you to loosen some things that were subconsciously, energetically there for you that had to go. What you're going to want to do is drink at least eight big, cups of water after. Treat it like it's a deep tissue massage. And for you Reiki practitioners who are watching this, if you do energy work, psychic surgery, literally anything, have your clients flush. That's a big deal. That's a powerful thing that you may be. However, I will say this, and when I first heard, your message, this was what came to mind, and I've had a similar experience. You go to somebody and, it feels okay or like not much or kind of helpful, really, and then you go and you feel nothing or it's making it worse. That person may have tipped energetically, and so the practitioner who's using Reiki is supposed to be channeling light energy from the universe. That energy can do no harm. However, if they are toxic themselves and they don't know how to put their energy aside, they could be polluting you with what they have going on. People just don't know what they're doing. It's unfortunate. Any other questions or should I move on? All right, let's keep going. Again, loving the questions, the comments, the donations. Okay, good seeing all this interaction. Hope this is helping you guys. And I did just want to say before we move on to the second part of the curriculum here, if you guys have suggestions for upcoming free mini classes, it doesn't look like we're coming out of the pandemic or the quarantine anytime too soon is my prediction. So I'm going to keep these going, and please do post them. Paul will be looking at them later on, and we'll see about some more upcoming classes. All right, so let's take a look at how that type of overgiving behavior is perceived. So you overgive, and you develop mental and emotional distress. Depression, anxiety disorders, ADHD or confusion, fogginess in the brain, irritable bowel, acid stomach, a lot of back problems. Back problems where I would normally be able to say, okay, probably just the lower back. Not even. When it's this, it's the entire spine from bottom to top. And each area of the back is symbolic of something else. I teach this to my students in psychic mediumship training. It's called physical impressions and physical symbology. But at the lower level of the back, I'll just break down a couple of these. We're talking about your relationships. We're talking about poor communication, okay? That manipulative energy, that victimhood mentality, someone disrespecting you, especially in-laws, or your spouse. This is typically in your close inner circle, often connected to love life, marital status. Now, we look at the lower back, and this can often activate other areas of the back or even sciatica and then down into the legs. You could see other problems. So think of the impact just with the spine alone. But I see it with a lot of my clients, the upper back, behind the shoulder blades, up into the neck. And we're talking slip discs. You think you slept wrong. But we're also talking about how your physical manifestations can come from outside of you. So if you are mentally and emotionally distressed because you are overgiving and you don't have a healthy sense of boundaries, you can actually manifest in the universe a car accident, slipping on some ice, some type of an injury to any of the parts of the body that I talked about, but I frequently see it with the spine. So mentally and emotionally, you are now, after a certain period of time, probably like, a year or so, 8 months to a year or so, starting to physically manifest other issues. Now, when we talk about overgiving, we're often talking about the closed throat chakra. So, and we just said this to one of the viewers here, right, about her mother who isn't communicating properly. And for the daughter who asked the question, how it's creating this closed throat chakra for both of them now they have this. So closed throat chakra is going to mean, for one of two reasons, you have a build up of blocked energy right here. And we could see everything from esophageal problems to thyroid issues to throat cancer to swollen glands to sinus problems, migraines. Anything right about here is affected. And it's either because you did not speak your truth, or you did and it was disrespected, it was not received. All right. Now, one of the other things I want you guys to think on is how your past life issues may be affecting you in this life. It is not at all uncommon to see that something happened in a past life. You, in this life, are supposed to work through it, and now you are having physical, mental manifestations of victimhood mentality. You are overgiving, overreaching, guilt-ridden, and you can't figure out where this is coming from. Maybe you do come from a healthy family. Maybe you don't feel that you were brainwashed by society and trained to do this. Where the heck is it coming from? It could be a past life issue. Book a past life reading with me. We will get to it. Now, number 2, if I didn't already say that as number 1. Okay, so we have number 1 is mental and emotional distress. Number 2 is spiritual distress. If you are overgiving, you are essentially telling your spirit, I don't love you. I'm not going to take care of you. I'm going to take care of everybody else and everything else. You're bottom of the barrel, low man on the totem pole, not a priority. And I don't even respect you. So don't bother me. And this becomes like a wounded inner child starving to be fed in so many different ways. A lot of people who have 50,000 crystals, every oil under the sun, the angel wings, they are over-identifying with the angels and spirits in the 5th, the higher, 6th dimension. We've got to get higher. And they're obsessed with it. And they take one class after another, and they're yoga, and they're this and they're that, and they meditate for hours. Why isn't it happening for me? Why isn't it happening for me? This is why, okay? You, no matter what you do, nobody can fix this for you. You can't heal anyone else until you heal yourself. You have got to stop. You've got to stop. It is not that you haven't received the right training. It's that you are not giving in here what you were supposed to. So these go on deaf ears, these trainings. Okay, I said to Paul earlier, I hope people hear this tonight and they apply it. Because all you can do, right, is give it. So you are starving your spirit and you have stagnancy. The real system of the universe understands that life is suffering. That suffering is supposed to turn into healing for yourself. You're supposed to do that work. And then you are meant to heal the world around you. You can't level jump. Okay, you've got to get in the real system, the reality. You can't cover it up with crystals. All right, there's no spray for this one, right? No. So let's look at category number 3. How does the universe see your overgiving? So the universe does not see everything that we do as a separate category. At the core of all prosperity in life is relationships. I have a class up on my website where I talk about this. It's called Relationships, Boundaries, and Cord Cutting. Now, our relationships are at the core of every other area of prosperity in our lives, but nobody wants to talk about that. Everybody wants to act like if you work hard at your job, you will have prosperity. If you give a lot of love, you will get love back. If I do this, then this. It doesn't work that way. If your relationships are out of whack in any way, the universe is going to allow for your prosperity to dry up. Blessings that you could have, you won't be able to get access to, concepts in that vein, right? So the universe sees everything that you do in your life as being connected, and ultimately your prosperity, your health, everything is affected by that. So stop seeing your life as separate categories. Yeah, but. The universe doesn't do yeah, but. It either is imbalanced or it's out of whack and you get nothing over here, okay? So when we are talking about law of attraction, we're talking about manifestation. We often are trained to believe that if we think on something, if we visualize it, if we write it down, if we do a ceremony, if we can feel it emotionally, if we can hold it in our mind for 15 seconds, 30 seconds, and then release. We have all these strategies that we use. It means nothing. Why is your manifestation not working? Why is law of attraction not working for you? Because you're an overgiver. You're crossing boundaries, and the universe only reads that energy as ego. Ego meaning fear and manipulation and control. That's it. And you get no rewards for that. So that is karmic kickback. You will actually receive karmic kickback for overgiving. This means every time you help your kid more than you know you should, every time you drive down to the school, yet again, you enable. Every time you allow your partner, your spouse, your lover to get away with it, every time you accept some other kick in the teeth from your boss without that promotion, without that contract being signed, every time you decide to put yourself on the back burner when you knew you were supposed to take a day for yourself, do some self-healing, but you instead just overgive, you're a martyr, you're a victim. Every single time you do this, you cost yourself in karmic kickback, because not only does this kickback come on to you and cost you prosperity, it is also often delivered to the other person anyways. So now we got two people receiving this bad juju, this unfortunate circumstance. One, because they didn't earn anything more than that. And the other one, you, because you enabled that to happen. Not good. All right. So there is a system here. There is a rule. There is order to this chaos. And we have to stop and say, if we have health problems, if we have, mental and emotional distress, if you feel spiritually like you're stuck, if you feel that your, prosperity is in the ghetto and you can't figure out why or what else you could do about it, you need to look at this area and see if there are any boundaries that you're crossing. And wherever they are, there's no need to even question. That's it. Cut it. That ever go, well, what do I do? What do? You know what to do. That's not the issue. It's that you don't want to do it. And you don't have to be comfortable doing it. You just have to do it. Get comfortable being uncomfortable, but get it done, okay? Habit will change the way you see things in the future. So if you get into the habit, like you have this in a dysfunctional way, you get into the habit of creating balance and reciprocity and health in your life, you will identify a million miles away when you're about to be taken advantage of. I used to give to everyone around me. I was the parent. I didn't have parents. I was the parent. I raised myself. I've been on my own. I was living on the streets when I was 13. I had my first apartment when I was 15 years old. I put myself through college. I did everything, right? I had a mentality, and having intuitive abilities, I had this mentality that I had to give. And even when I tried not to, it was being taken from me energetically by vampires and situations all around me. Now, where I am today, after learning this over the years and applying it to my life, I'm telling you, anybody asks me for anything, and I'm like, whoa. Who are you? What am I getting back? Is it something spirit wants me to do? Okay, and how does this feel for me energetically? I'm more than happy to give things like these classes away for free, but I understand that I'm doing it to be of service to spirit. So that's my payout. I am contributing to the light, but there should always be a healthy balance. It should always energetically make sense to you and honor you. So eventually with habit, you'll spot it a million miles away. If it's not something you should do and you don't owe anyone an excuse, the answer is no. That's it. Okay. We have questions or comments?
Yes. This is hitting a lot for people. They're loving this. Some wows and stuff on TikTok too. That's fun to say. Megan Marie said thank you for answering our question. And Tristan said thank you. I love this class so far. By the way, this one's super important.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
You guys are welcome. Thank you.
And Kimberly said this is excellent teaching. Thank you, Ivy, for sharing and helping us. Peace, love, blessings.
You're welcome.
All right. So We have one on TikTok from Caris740.
Okay.
Who asks, how can you get back in balance if you are out of balance?
Well, you have to do everything I just talked about. So you're going to have to do an evaluation. Say you went and got hired at a new job and you got there and they said, okay, your job is to figure out everything that's been going wrong with this company. The dysfunction of the scheduling, the dysfunction of profit, the dysfunction of spending too much on overhead, all the employees who can't do their job. I want you to look at everything and I just want you to like fix it and you'll get a paycheck for that. Well, where would you start? You would start by observing, by being mindful. And you want to treat your life the same way. You want to treat yourself the same way. Don't be judgmental of yourself. Don't be judgmental of your past and the decisions that you made, but do start there. What can you observe unless you're looking at your past? Okay. And then you eventually look at current relationships and situations. But it is even easier than that when you talk about stress triggers, because instead of having to sort of sit back, detach, be objective about the whole thing, you're not going to criticize yourself. Even easier than doing that is to pay attention to when you're having an anxiety attack, or you feel physically sick, or you have a horrible migraine. When do you feel exhausted and depleted? Whenever that's happening, you have an indicator around you of a relationship that is not working or situation that is not working for you. And whether you're overgiving and it's voluntary, or you're being drained and it's involuntary, it doesn't change the fact that it's there and it has to be fixed. Observing, mindfulness, maintaining it beyond that is exactly that, just mindfulness. I had somebody reach out to me today and be like, gimme. And I was like, probably not, but in the past I may have been like, yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. No more. Yeah, okay. No, I've been disrespected enough. Thank you. No. Okay. No. But you can't move so quickly. So many people who move quickly in life are high energy and kind of frantic and high strung because they're trying to avoid being mindful and to do the hard work that's really in front of them to do. And it often has to do with this. No, I'm just going to keep doing what I do. I'm just going to keep doing what I do. It's almost like, a chihuahua. Slow it down, pay attention. The truth.
We have one from Jill who asks, is feeling obligated the same as guilt?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, I would say so. I think that there's a healthy level of obligation. I've noticed in my own life that I would have guilt, almost like a survivor's guilt or a feeling that everything's going to fall apart, that this person is going to be damaged, that there will be suffering and pain, and it is my duty to step in and intervene and prevent it. There's a huge difference between when I feel something like that versus when I feel obligated to spirit and the light to offer something even when I'm not in the mood. I feel obligated. It's part of the work. It's like showing up. It's being responsible. It's doing what you're supposed to, versus fear, tension, a sense of dread if you don't. Those are totally different things. Start being mindful about how you feel. This is where emotion, and I'm not a huge fan of emotion. I believe in using emotion only for self-protection. But I think that this is an area where our emotions, and we talked earlier about the physical manifestations that come from that, are so honest and raw that you really can't mess this one up. It's very clear.
We have one from Stacy.
Okay.
She says, I have done healing work on my neck and back and all the areas that you spoke of, but I still have neck pain and neck fatigue almost daily. Could it be because it is actual physical fatigue with no other meaning?
Could it be because it's physical fatigue? Well, I can't prescribe or diagnose. I don't know if you've gone to a doctor for this or what. If you think you have an actual, like a disease or a disorder where maybe, what am I thinking of? What is that one? I can't remember the names of them. I have no medical training, so I don't know about that. It sounds like you may have a long-term issue going on here. I would definitely seek medical advice on that, but I would say that if it's energetic, it's coming from somewhere. So again, is it coming from your work? Is this, because if you show up at your work every day, you don't get breaks from it. It's not going to fix itself on a 2-day weekend. That's for sure. If we had a 5-day weekend, maybe by the last day it would start to ease itself up. When we're talking about relationships with people that we see all the time or they live with us, and we're talking about our job, we're talking about our work, okay? We are there all the time. So in the empathic awareness training I mentioned earlier, the only way to know what is mine and what is others is to pull yourself out of that scenario for a long period of time. Before I developed that course, I did a retreat for about 1.5 years where I secluded in order to figure out what was going on. So you have to find the triggers. Could it be someone who's around you all the time? Could it be your job? Because we really don't get away for long enough periods to own our energy, to take it back. Sometimes we find that if someone disappears for a while or we take a break from them or a circumstance, we feel better. So I did another free mini class here called Empaths in the Pandemic. And one of the things that we talked about there was how good some of us are feeling since the quarantine hit, since the pandemic began, because we're not in close contact with anybody anymore, because we're not going to that toxic work environment anymore. Now, you don't need meds. Your depression has disappeared. You've had anxiety since you were 20. Now you don't have it anymore. Why did that happen? Because you no longer have that energy absorption, that toxicity coming into your body that wasn't really yours. Okay. Does that answer the question? I think you need to look. I think you need to dig deeper. Yeah.
We have one from Kelly.
Okay.
It says, is it a knee-jerk habitual reaction or fear that if you don't give in to what is wanted, you'll be hurt?
It's fear. Any time you try to deny discomfort or pain, it's fear. And it seems like a normal knee-jerk human reaction to self-protect. So you give in, and you shouldn't. We have to get comfortable being uncomfortable, and we have to allow others to do the same.
I liked it, what you said about the universe doesn't care about what ifs.
No.
And that because we live in a world that has all these grays, and that everything in the universe it's black and white, and so that to speak on what you say a lot is that the greatest evil I guess is feeding the darkest passivity,
Ooh.
And so that's such this gray area that we live in. And the universe just sees that as really the dark side because you're not.
No doubt about it.
Yeah. And
no doubt about it. And anybody who tells you any different is not telling you the truth. The universe sees pacifism as feeding the dark. The universe doesn't care that you had a good intention to tolerate a dark decision on behalf of someone else. We're seeing this right now, in our country, how divided we are here in the States. Too many people have said, it's okay, we'll still be friends. No, because this isn't political. This is moral. This is ethical. If someone is full of hate, they want to hurt others, and you decide to keep supporting their life, kick back on you. It is beyond pacifism. It is feeding the dark, and the universe works within a law. So do the other dimensions in the universe. You're never going to escape this, ever. There's a law to all of this. So no, it's not about your intentions. And the universe doesn't care about your what ifs or maybe later or, and once you know that you're doing it, you are now obligated to do the right thing because it makes it even worse. Yeah.
Yeah. Then you're actively not.
Now you're actively denying that you know. Right. That's going to be bad. That's 10 times. Yeah. Double. Talk about double for your trouble. Yeah. All right, guys. It was such a pleasure. Hope this one helped. We have another one coming up on, I don't know, where's all my stuff? So we do have Ask Ivy every Monday, 8 p.m. on TikTok, 8:30 on YouTube, where I take your personal questions and I give your weekly horoscopes. Your weekly horoscopes went up yesterday on my YouTube channel here. And we do have the next free mini class coming up is The Clairs. That's going to be Thursday the 12th at 8 p.m. And I do want to invite you guys to check out Psychic Mediumship course for fall semester. It's not too late to jump in, but we did just open up registration for spring. So if you are interested in working with your empathic, mediumistic, and psychic abilities, check it out. Do you have the website link in there?
Yeah, it's in the description.
Perfect. All right, so I want to say thank you to everyone who donated, and thank you to members: Bernadette Ruoff, Jill Haney, Chicken Mama, Carrie Watson, Vanessa Dempsey, Sherry Carter, Gloria Augusto, Angelica Pilar, Candace Kempton, Lori Filon, Jamie Joe, the Pisces Goddess, Cheryl Gottman, LAF, Teresa Hodgman, Michelle Kiska. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time.